Hey everybody, this is Strategywizard again, and today I'm going to be doing a quick overview and review of the newest expansion to Cosmic Encounter, Cosmic Odyssey, the campaign expansion. So this is a big box expansion to say the least. It offers tons of new stuff, and it adds other things for old variants to add even more variation in those variants. I have everything laid out so that most of the components are here, not 100%, but most of it's right here. I have the aliens split up based on different categories of certain things that I want to show. Let's start here. There are new additions to the variants that already existed. For example, the reward deck from Cosmic Incursion and Cosmic Dominion, there's more of those. For the space stations from Cosmic Storm, there's more of those. For the tech variant from the base game, there's more tech, and there's more hazards from the Cosmic Conflict variant, the hazards. And they added Destiny cards that make it way more obvious. Here's a regular Destiny, and now in Cosmic Odyssey, we have something that makes it very clear this is a hazard. Before, it was a very hard to see little ray of, aura of light coming off of the original little color. It wasn't very easy to tell it was a hazard. Now with these, you put these instead, replace the old ones, and now you can easily tell if the Destiny is a hazard or not. So just to cover some of these additions, there are alt hazards now. Alt hazards basically give the offense an option to do something different other than have a regular encounter. Like in this case, if you have fewer than 8 cards in your hand, choose and draw cards from the discard pile until you have 8 cards if possible. The encounter immediately ends successfully. So if it was your first encounter, you could have another one. And everyone else would be able to, if they have less than 8 cards in their hand, they can draw a random card from the discard pile. So the offense would get something really good, and everyone else would get something that is potentially helpful. Or as another example, free all of your ships from the warp and place them on your home colonies. The encounter immediately ends successfully. Or for everyone else, free one of your ships from the warp and place it on one of your home colonies. So the alt hazards are pretty cool in that sense. Then there's semi-permanent hazards, which are pretty cool. I think you only have one at a time, and if you ever get another one, you'd replace it. In this case, after a deal has been made that includes establishing a colony, each player in that deal may discard a negotiate card from their hand to cancel one colony that would be established. If this results in no colonies being established or nothing else happening in the deal is unsuccessful. So this makes it to where you have, if this is active, then every time there's a actual deal to exchange colonies, colony for a colony, you can play your another negotiate to negate the colony your opponent would get, and your opponent can do the same to you, so no one would get anything. That's really crazy. There's several of these semi-permanent ones, and then there's just some regular hazards that are added, like this one. If a main player loses this encounter, the player to their left must send a number of their ships to the warp from any of their colonies equal to the number of ships that the main player had lost in the encounter. So other people suffer someone else's pain. So lots of new hazards, which is cool. Then we've got lots of new tech, and there's basically, boy, there's so many cards. I can't really go over everything, it'd take forever. But there's regular ones that where you add ships over time, and eventually you'll be able to flip it over and say, "Ooh, I want to activate this." They have a new type of tech where you discard, instead of adding ships, you just discard attack cards with a total value, in this case, equal to or greater than 10, and then you trigger it. Or in this case, you play 2 attack cards of the same value. Then it would automatically trigger. Or you do one like this, and you have to play attack cards in order, like a 6 and a 7. If you do that, then you'll be able to activate that card. And then Haztech is interesting because here it's during the reveal phase. If a hazard warning is active, you may reveal this tech. For each ship on it, add 3 to one side's total, then discard this tech and send all ships on it to the warp. So during the reveal phase, you could, if you had a bunch of ships on this, as many as you wanted, if it's a hazard, you can reveal this and add tons of damage or combat power to your side. So the Haztechs are triggerable if there's a hazard destiny, and the Militechs, like this, you discard attack cards or combat cards to be able to trigger those. And then there's the regular ones where you just add ships, and once you hit the right number, boom, you get to trigger it. So a lot more new variety there. Then we have space stations. There's a whole lot of new regular space stations, but there's also deep space stations now. and there are sky cities, which you can see. This would be a deep space station, this would be a sky city, and these are the regular space stations. What's interesting about these, the deep space stations function differently, and as do the sky cities. Here, this just goes, it doesn't get attached to any particular planet, it just goes behind your entire system, and and you get to use this in your system as long as you have at least 4 home colonies. So it's like this kind of universal ability that applies to, you don't have to, it's not tied to a particular planet, so you can't lose it unless you lose too many home colonies. And then the sky cities are interesting because anybody with a colony on the planet that this is attached to can use its ability. So even your opponents, if they get a colony on your planet, then they can use the ability. So you could even include that in negotiations. You could say, hey, colony for a colony, but you can't go here, or colony for a colony, and and you can use it as, hey, I'll let you come over on this planet so you can get this benefit, so you should also give me a few cards. So it adds more negotiating ability there, which is cool. Then as far as the new, there's a lot of new cards in here for the reward deck. Most of them are stuff we already know, like there's reinforcements, powerful reinforcements, there's a retreat, rift cards, kickers, and whatnot. There's some cool other things. In particular, there's these safeguard cards, which I like a lot. It's basically an attack card, except that if you're against a negotiate, this becomes a negotiate, which is cool. And then for each ship that if you're opposed by an attack, for each ship you have in the encounter, send 1 ship from the opposing side to the warp. So if you sent 4 ships, you can send all of the ships that your opponent has in the battle to the warp, which means they'll have nothing. So if you're defending, you can basically get rid of all their ships, so even if they win the attack, they won't get a colony. So Safeguard is an amazing new ability. I like those a lot. And then there was this very interesting betrayal, which I really like. It's a negotiate card. You say, hey, let's negotiate. And then you get to a betrayal. It says if it's opposed by negotiate, it becomes an attack 0/0. So you would automatically win against another negotiate. That is awesome. So you could honestly say, I'm going to play a negotiate, but then trick them with this, boom, and you win the encounter. Who would not like that? That's awesome. So that's the stuff that basically builds on the variants that already exist. Now, boy, there's so much to go. There are now a new variant called Moons. I'm going to just kind of briefly go over this. You get a few moons to start with, and you'll have the cards in front of you. Each moon has some different feature, and there's different ones that have different artwork, and they're usually similar. Like this kind, the moon base, pretty much always gives you a foreign colony if you're on the moon, but it has some penalty. And then there's these blue moons that have their own kind of general ability. There's full moons. There's half a moon, which has a split of some. Add two to each reinforcement you play. If you occupy at least 2 half moons, add 4 instead. So, if you have 2 half moons, then your half moons get better, essentially, is how that works. So, a bunch of different kinds of moons. Basically, you'll start with 2 of them typically, and you'll put them on 2 of your planets, and you don't start on the moon, which is a little thematically strange. I don't know why you have the ability to go and explore and you're not already on the moon, but anytime there's an encounter that happens where there's a moon, you can place, whoever wins can place one of their ships on that moon and then claim the ability of the card that matches. So basically, you want to go attack places that have moons typically, so you can try to gain abilities that way. And so it's kind of a cool way. It's similar to the space stations, because this gives you something else to want to target certain planets. It makes it to where it's not, especially at the beginning, it doesn't matter which one I point at, they're all the same. Something else that makes it to where each planet has its own uniqueness. So that is a cool addition. Now, there's something else called evolution cards, which I really find interesting. The evolution cards basically make it to where you'll have 4 of these out randomly that you'll deal, and it affects some pretty amazing things. Basically, over the course of time, everyone will be able to start putting ships on these cards if they want to. So if there's 4, you can say, I want to put one on here this turn. Next time I'll put one on here, one on here, one on here. It's kind of like tech, where every turn everyone gets a chance to start adding cards to these evolutions, and they make a big difference. For example, archaeology, this evolution, if you have no ships on here, you cannot play artifacts at all. If you have 1 to 2, then no effect. But if you have 3 ships on here, and no effect just means you can play artifacts now. So you have to actually put ships on here to be able to get to the normal rules of the game. And then 3, after you play an artifact, you may discard a flare from your hand instead of discarding the artifact, and then you get the artifact right back. So you could Cosmic Zap someone, discard a flare, and you get your artifact right back so that you can Cosmic Zap someone again. And in the case of aviation, if you have 0, you cannot become an ally. If you have 1 as an ally, your ship limit is 1. So you can. So even once you put 1 ship on here, you can only send 1 ship as an ally. 2 to 3, you're back to normal, where you can send up to 4. 4 ships on this card, and as an ally, your ship limit is increased by 1, so you can send 5 ships. So lots of different things here that actually change what you can do, and you can spend your ships on each of the different cards how you want to increase your abilities, which is really cool. Now, for the reward deck, they added something called, I think it's the Ultra Rewards. There's a few of these, not a lot, and these are just really powerful cards that you can that get added into the rewards deck if you want to, but you don't have to. There's something that happens in the campaign where this might get added. But look at this craziness. Attack, overkill. Opposed by a morph, both sides lose. You both go overkill and you both blow each other up. But opposed by anything else, it wins, but the opponent collects compensation. So if they played an attack 40, you win. Doesn't matter what your total was, but they will get compensation no matter what. So it's one of those things where you do this because you just need a win, even though you don't mind losing some cards, especially if you have some junky ones that you want to give to somebody else. So, but there's a lot of cool cards in here. You know, there's this attack 20, higher total wins. If you win as offense by 4 or more, you may also land 1 or more of your attacking ships on another planet in the same system. Sneak attack. So you can basically get more colonies by playing this card. So you get the idea. There's some really good stuff in these Ultra rewards. Okay, so now there's also Lux, which I believe is from Lucre back in the day, which I never played with that, but basically the way this works is everyone will have a Lux market card showing what the general rules are. During the regroup phase, the offense gets to decide, how are you going to be able to buy stuff? Only the offense can buy rewards, and rewards would mean reward deck cards, regular deck cards, or get ships from the warp. You'll say, hey, only the offense can, but it'll cost the offense 3 Lux to be able to get a reward. Or you can say, hey, offense and 1 other player who agrees to join, we can spend 2 Lux to get rewards. Or everybody can get rewards, and it costs 1 Lux a piece for a reward. And so the offense gets to decide this, which is important. And then on the back, there's Ultra Lux cards, there's Deluxe cards, and there are Relux cards. Basically, everyone's going to start with the front card, but the rules are a little finicky on this. They imply you have 2 cards, but you really only have 1. It's just that the back of it is the other card, so to speak. And basically, that means you're going to have your own special ability that's going to be tied to your Lux card, but the way you get Lux, and this is the Lux, the money, essentially, whenever you attack, depending on how many ships you send in the battle, will decide how much Lux gets put in the defense's side versus on the attacker's side, and then you'll both get Lux based on, basically the more offensive you are, the more Lux your opponent gets, but the fewer ships you send, the more Lux you'll get. So you can purposely manipulate how many ships you send to get more money, and reduce how much money that your opponent would get. So the Lux is interesting. I mean, it's a cool feature that, one, it makes it more important how many ships you send as the offense, or as the offense, because the offense is the one who decides. That's very interesting, because normally how many ships you send is not a huge deal. With Lux, it makes a much bigger difference, and these different cards that you have makes everyone unique in their own special way. So that's really cool. Okay, so moving on, everything else up at the top, all these cards have to do with the campaign. The campaign, very briefly, you're going to go through different ages, and we'll just use this as an example. There's the classic age of innovation, and it'll tell you what the alien selection method is. In this case, use the following alien selection method. Deal 2, choose 1, which is the standard. That's why it's called the classic age. And then you add the following variant technology. From the base game, it makes sense. So you're going to have just basic rules, and then in the campaign, you're going to play a series of 4 matches, typically, and you're going to have points that you get. It's not about who wins against their 5th colony. Here, you get 4 points per foreign colony, 2 points per home colony that you still have, and 1 point for something I can't remember. And so the point is, by the time it's over, you get points based on all of this, and that decides who won that particular match. Now, Master cards, whoever wins will get the Master card, which gives you a bonus later on at the end of the campaign. So there's a Master card that matches each of these cards, which is pretty cool. So just to show another example, there's the Obedient Age. Use the following alien selection method endowment. The campaign book will tell you what that means. And then add the following variants reward deck with Ultra Reward deck. And then here's how you get points here. That's probably 2 points per ship you have in the warp, maybe. 1 point per home colony, 3 points per foreign colony. So the point system changes depending on the age that you play. Now, when you win a campaign, not only will the winners get the Master card that they'll be able to use at the end, but 2nd, 3rd, 4th place, they all have their own rewards that they'll get. They may get envoys, which they say are aliens that represent some of the aliens from Cosmic Duel, which I don't have and I haven't played, but with an envoy, it's like you get a second type of power that will help you going forward. So envoys are a cool way in a campaign to get yourself more powerful. You can also get privilege cards, which do very powerful things. Privilege cards are ridiculous in some cases. You may play this card at any time. Choose a player. That player may choose to give you their hand. If they do not, draw 8 cards from the deck, then remove this card from the game. I mean, you basically say, hey, if you're not going to give me your hand, I'm going to get 8 new cards. Well, let's do this one. Life Mulligan. You may play this card, immediately remove it from the game. Draw 2 alien sheets from the alien stack. Choose one and shuffle the other into the alien stack. Add the chosen alien to your coalition, because over the course of a campaign you get more aliens over time. And replace your selected alien with it. Find its flair and include it as part of your opening hand. Then remove this card from the game. That's huge. I mean, you basically can get a new alien and hopefully one that you like more, and you start with its flair. So over the course of the campaign, depending on how you perform, you're going to be getting envoys, privileges, wrenches, I think, or if you are the worst, wrenches are like I guess a pity prize, Master if you won. And then the last thing that you get in the campaign that's pretty significant is these objectives. There's I think there's maybe there's only a few times where you'll need objectives, but basically it gives you people hidden ways of getting more points, so towards winning that particular match in a campaign. So objectives just give you a little more something to look forward to trying to get more points. So that's basically all the cards, what all that stuff is. So let's just try to go over these aliens really quick, like if I can. Hopefully I can get through this without too much insanity. Okay, so these are the ones that I really like these because I like things that make people want to ask you to ally, and the magnet is a great one. As a main player or an ally, after alliances are formed, you may use this power to force one offensive ally to become a defensive ally, or vice versa. You cannot use this power to choose yourself. So if you did not use this power, you may use this power to force one player in the encounter to match the same number of ships that you have in the encounter by moving ships to or from their colonies as appropriate. That's huge. But the reason why I really like it is because of this. You can actually make people come to your side if you want. Or if you think you're going to win and you didn't really want an ally anyway, you can be like, you know what, get out of here, and just send them over there and blow them all away. But people would want you to ally with them in a big game. Now, in a 3-player game, not so useful, obviously, because you'd be the only ally. But in a big player game, this is great because people want you to ally so that you can get other people to come to your side and help. And I like that a lot. We've got the Guardian, which is probably my favorite of these 3. As an ally, after encounter cards are revealed, use this power to change the value of your ships for encounter totals. Each of your ships is worth the number of ships that the main player on your side has in the encounter. For example, if the main player on your side has 3 ships in the encounter, each of your ships is worth 3. Everyone's going to want you to join them because you're going to boost their power hugely. The only problem with this is it only works as an ally. It doesn't help you on your own encounters at all. But that's huge because people want you on their side. So you're going to be getting more colonies, more rewards because people are looking for your strength. That guy, he just looks cool and his ability is amazing. The Bubble. This is interesting. As a main player or ally, before encounter cards are selected, you may use this power by announcing, "Let's pop," or by making 2 pop sound effects. Then instead of selecting an encounter card, the main player on your side may select a reinforcement card. And if you do, it is treated as an attack of equal value. And each player on your side may play 1 attack card from their hand as a reinforcement card. So if you have a bunch of allies with you, or if you join as an ally and you do this let's pop thing, if the person, you or the main player that on your side plays a reinforcement instead of an attack, everyone else can play their attacks to help. So you can play a 20 as a quote-unquote reinforcement. I mean, that's huge. That is something that if the person has a reinforcement, they're going to want to ask you to ally so that they say, hey, you need to say let's pop because I'm ready to go. And that's just amazing. Amazing. Things that make people want you to ally, I just really like. Okay, I've got quite a few of these, so I'm going to try to go through these pretty quickly and not maybe go over all the details. The Witch is great because basically whenever you lose, you can curse people with cards from your Essence cache, which is so powerful. You basically give them curses where they can't play cards or whatever else it is, and they have to put ships on that card to remove the curse, and then those ships will go to the warp. So very great way to be mean to people when you lose. I really like that. Lloyd helps. You can insure something from another player. Basically, you can say, oh, your alien power can't be zapped, your ships can't be lost or captured, and these cards can't be taken from you as compensation. You can just say what you're willing to insure, and if they accept, then you'll be able to get tokens and then use those tokens to get rewards. So he's a guy who's nice. I mean, he's helping people. You're helping everyone else, but you get rewarded for helping everyone. I mean, that's just a cool concept. I like that a lot. The Force is crazy. If you are not a main player or ally, you may use this power to choose a main player. Look at the chosen player's encounter card. You may swap that card with 1 from your hand. If you swapped cards and that player wins... Oh, and by the way, let me make this clear. Not main player or ally. This is if you're not participating. So look at the chosen player's encounter card. You may swap that card with 1 from your hand. If you swapped cards and that player wins or makes a deal, you get 3 rewards. So you can swap a card with something great to help them win, and you get 3 rewards. But if they lose the encounter, then send 2 of your ships from your colonies to the warp, and that player gains 1 reward. So you can try to make them lose. You suffer for it, but it might be worth it to keep someone from getting that last colony. Or you can help them win, and then you get 3 rewards. That is a really cool power. And it's very rare that you have something where not being a main player or ally is actually useful. So that's really interesting. Extractor, basically whenever he moves onto a planet, he can move other people's ships away to other planets, which is really powerful, and you can get bonuses if you help them get a foreign colony by doing so. You can actually help people get a foreign colony, but you get bonuses, or you can send them back to their home planets and make them lose stuff. So it's really, really, really powerful and interesting card. The dragon basically just blows stuff up. You can just basically destroy a planet under certain circumstances after Destiny is drawn. If it matches a player color or is wild, add that card to the sheet. After the 3rd card of the same color is placed on this sheet, use this power to discard all 3 Destiny cards and scorch a planet in that player's home system. All ships on that planet are sent to the warp, and the planet is removed from the game. After a Destiny card is placed on the sheet, you may treat each wild Destiny here as any color. That's huge. Being able to blow up people's stuff, I like. I mean, it's just epic, and I like dragons, so it's a win-win. The booster is interesting because, again, it kind of makes a difference on how many ships you send, which I like. Offense or ally only. When you launch ships as the offense or ally, use this power, mandatory. If you launch 1 or 2, discard the same number of cards from your hand. If you launch 3 or more, draw a card to add to your hand and then discard 1 card. Again, I like the fact that there's actually a reason to change how much you send or don't send. Assessor, basically you get to tax people and then give them tax refunds, which is really cool. The aura, you get to play a card. Everyone else has to show what they have of the same type, and they can't play it. So it basically locks cards of a certain type. So if you play a flare, they show their flares. They can't play them for a certain period of time. That's very powerful. Okay, so let's jump over here. These cards are just interesting. This is one of the special win condition aliens, this one is really unusual. Basically, you don't need colonies to win. You put all your ships but 1 from each of your home colonies on this sheet. Whenever you have to launch ships, you can send up to 3 of them from here into battle. If you ever get all the ships off of here and you have at least 3 home colonies, then you win, which is crazy to me. I mean, you don't need other foreign colonies. You just need to get your ships off of here and have at least 3 of yours left. That's fascinating to me. Then there's the geek. Basically, the geek is really crazy, but you need to know your stuff, because basically you get to, based on a random card being drawn, you only get to know this information. And if you can guess which alien that little blurb is from, then you get that alien. So that's huge. Throwback, basically, it's all about the old terminology and punishing people if they don't use the right old terminology, which is really cool. And then finally, let's see if I can get through this real quick. Like, you have the ones that are fixed. Basically, the zombie can now actually get compensation, which he otherwise could not. That's huge. The Grumpus can actually make people lose colonies way more effectively than he used to be able to, which is amazing. And the Demon I never had before, but I'll just let you read it for yourself if you want to, but he's not as powerful. I did look up what he did before. He's not as powerful as he used to be, but he's still useful. I just want you to be able to see it for people who might have the original and want to see. The Brute is not as powerful as he used to be. They made him playable, which I really like, so that he's not so horrible, but he's still one of the most powerful. But I'm glad they made this change. So, that being said, that's what comes in Cosmic Odyssey. The game adds so much stuff and more aliens than what I showed, but this game, in my opinion, this expansion is a 10 out of 10. It gives me more of old things to make it better. It gives you new variants that add more variety. It gives you a campaign that you can do all kinds of cool stuff with, and it gives you a bunch of excellent aliens. Cosmic Storm was one of the worst expansions alien-wise, and to see that after Cosmic Storm they came out with Dominion and then Eons, and then they come out with this and they still have so many great ideas. It's amazing. So 10 out of 10 for me. Hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to hearing what you think. Comment if you want to. Subscribe and like if you want to see more. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Goodbye.